One of the most common questions I get from followers is, do I have a good therapist, or inversely, do they kinda suck? So I put together my 5 signs of a good therapist. And you're really gonna wanna hear number 1 because it's one of the most important and simple. Look, every profession has its share of incompetent people, and I'd like to think that therapists are doing better than average, but one thing to consider is that for therapists, it's just us and the client in the room. There's not a ton of accountability and oversight. One of the best ways that therapists combat this is through doing case consults with their peers to get ideas and let other people in onto the clinical work they're doing. This is based on my professional experience and the feedback I get from my followers. Anyways, here are the 5 signs you have a good therapist. Number 1, they're reliable. A lot of people report to me that their therapist is constantly canceling on them, often last minute. This makes me cringe. Frankly, I find this unprofessional and often negligent, especially if you have a client that's struggling. Look, us therapists are human, and I make mistakes too, but if I make that mistake, I am damn sure not to make it again for at least 4 to 6 months. Number 2 may seem counterintuitive to a lot of therapists, but it's that they don't give any direction to their clients. Whenever I see a new client, I ask them, what is your experience in therapy? What did you like about it? And what didn't you like about it? I get the same answer, I swear to God, almost every time. And that is, they just never gave me direction. They just seem to nod their head and maybe validate my feelings. Clients often come to therapy because they're in a place where they feel like they can't solve their own problems, and that's why they're coming to therapy. It's not easy. Even though giving clients advice or telling them what to do is not what therapy is all about, sometimes they feel like they can use some direction. It's usually not easy for people to ask for help, so sometimes it's okay to give it to them in a direct way. We all present with many different forms of identity that may be racial, ethnic, our gender, or different groups we belong to. Look, it's difficult for anyone to have a deep knowledge of every culture, but it's imperative that a therapist understands their client's culture through their own lens. I find clients feel most comfortable when you're not making assumptions or generalizations, that you're hearing about their culture through them and what's meaningful to them. I like to call this cultural mindfulness when you show a client that you have an interest in their culture and demonstrate some form of knowledge. I hear horror stories about therapists being totally unaware of someone's culture and even being disrespectful, and there's nothing that pushes a client away faster. Number 4 is that they're educated in evidence-based practices. Therapy is an art, but it's also a science. There are many different therapeutic modalities, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, and motivational interviewing, that have a mountain of evidence based in research that they are effective for clients in making change and symptom reduction. Many therapists specialize in one modality, but a lot of us are more eclectic. For example, I've done a lot of advanced trainings where I blend some of the elements that vibe most with my style. It's important for us to have training and knowledge in some of these approaches that are known to work well. I recommend asking a therapist what their therapeutic approach is, what modalities they use, and see what you think matches best with you. When you're reading a therapist's profile, pay attention to the modalities they list and that they're not just winging it. Number 5 may surprise you with how simplistic it is, but that's the beauty of it. It may seem so obvious that why would I even put it on here? And that question is, do I like my therapist? A good therapist should have skills on how to build rapport with clients. They should possess an emotional intelligence on how to connect with a variety of different people. It's important to note that even good therapists are not the best fit for everyone. For myself, 90% of clients seem to really like me, but 10% think I'm a douche. Okay, maybe it's more like 70-30. There's some pretty reliable research that shows that the number 1 predictor of success in therapy is not necessarily the modality. It's the quality of relationship between the therapist and their client. Really, how much do I like them and trust them? Now you may be wondering, how do I find a therapist that has the best chance of being a good fit for me? This is also one of the most common questions I get. One of the first videos I posted on YouTube is my 5 tips for finding a therapist that's the best fit for you. I pasted this link in the description in my bio in case you don't want to have to scroll. Next, I want you to go ahead and follow me, not just because I'm adorable, but my next video is going to be on how and when to fire your therapist, and I don't want you to miss it.